All right, so welcome back to part three of our deep dive video series on session notes and note templates. I'm Shelley Myers with Practice Better, and we're at the final part three of our deep dive video series. So let's take a look at what we're going to be focusing on in part three. We're going to talk about your client's notes and how to work with those. We're going to talk about how to use snippets in notes to save you time, how to locate your client's notes, how to search, filter, and navigate your client's notes, how to view and restore previous versions of a note, and then how to download or create a PDF of a client note. So let's dive in. We're going to head back over to my demo system. I'm going to turn off my camera. All right, so let's talk about snippets. If you don't already know what snippets are, you are going to want to learn what those are, how to use them, and what the benefit is. Where you can find your snippets. So if you've already saved snippets from other areas of your platform, you can find those in your settings. So right here with the settings icon, you can either go into all settings or you can see them right here. If you're in your settings, they're going to be right down here under shortcuts and snippets. So snippets are just text. It could be blocks of text or even just a few sentences of text that you use over and over again, and you'd like to pull that into, say, notes or into protocols or other areas of the platform. Now, obviously, when you pull in a snippet, you will be able to customize that if you need to, but you're not starting from scratch and typing that over and over again. If we go in here to edit, just to see what one of these looks like. So this is sufficient water intake. And I seem to have been typing this over and over again for various clients. So I decided to just save it after I typed it into my plan for one of my clients. I actually saved it as a snippet. And then this is where I can access it. And because it was from a note, because I typically would use this in a note under my plan, I did select the rich formatting. So you can see here that I'm able to bold and italicize or underline. So plain text would be maybe for something like in a fax cover sheet or somewhere where it's just going to be really short and plain. And then typically I would just keep it up here for any resource because I'm not always sure where I'm going to be using it. But if you wanted to make sure that it was only ever used in protocols and recommendations, then if you were in notes or labs and you clicked the little squiggly brackets to pull up a snippet, you're not going to see this particular snippet because it's only going to be accessed through protocols and recommendations. If you just leave it any resource, then you'll be able to access the snippet in all these different places. So now I'm going to click save. And if at any time you want to delete, if you're not using a snippet anymore, you can delete those. If you're on the team plan, you can share those with your colleagues or transfer ownership to one of your colleagues. So this is where you can find the snippet. Let's go back to our home screen. And we're going to go into my client Annie. I'm going to go into one of her notes. So the notes that I had shown in part 2 for initial consultation. So let's go into that note. And I had shown in part 2 how you can search. So if you have a lot of notes on this client and you just wanted to search for any notes that had already been completed or that were still in progress, you can filter those, or you can filter by ones that are still in draft mode or that have already been shared with the client. So because this note that I want to access is still in progress, I am going to click here. And let me just show you as far as the snippets, like how you could use these. So let's say you're just getting to the end of your session and you are getting ready to write out the plan that you're going to share with your client. So we talked about sufficient water intake, and I'm going to have that under lifestyle. This could be food and lifestyle, but I don't want to have to keep typing that all the time. So if you just pull up this kind of squiggly bracket, so you just put it twice, it's going to pull up your list of snippets. So right here was the snippet we were looking at earlier, sufficient water intake. So when I click on that, I can get rid of this. It's just going to paste all that text into my note. Now, obviously, if there's anything in here that you need to personalize for that client, you can change that or you can add to it. Now, for example, let's say that this was the first time that I had just typed this information on the importance of hydration and sufficient water intake. And I said, oh, I feel like I keep typing this for various clients. I think I want to save this as a snippet. So when you're in the notes for the client, you can highlight text. So let's say you just wanted to save this part. So you highlight it and then you come up here and click on this icon, save snippet. You can actually save snippets from the notes themselves. So you don't have to go back to your settings and create the snippet there. So again, you're just going to give it a different name, which resources you want to be able to access it from, and then which of these you're going to choose. So I'm going to leave it at rich formatting, and I would just give it a new name. So that is how you can take snippets and pull those into your notes, or how you can create snippets from your notes themselves. So let's go back here. I just wanted to show you, I'm not going to save that, but again, we're in our client's record and we're under notes. So when you click on these three dots next to a note, these are all the different options that you have. So you can go back in and edit or update that note. If you know that you're finished, so this isn't signing off on it, you're just marking it as complete. You still could go in there if you needed to and update it, but if you mark it complete, then it's going to be under the list of completed notes here. So then you can view it as a PDF, a fill PDF. You can view it if you wanted to fill it out for the client. You can fax it. So if you wanted to fax some notes over to our medical provider and you have your fax sent out, you can do that. Again, we talked about duplicating the note in part 2 of this video series. If you created a note from scratch and then you realized that you actually, when you finished, that it actually looked like a template that you wanted to use with other clients, you could actually save it as a new template. So when you click this, it's going to save it under your list of templates in your general template area. So here I wanted to show you this version history. So if I click on this, and this is not the one that has the version. Let's see, it might have been this one. Hold on 1 second. Okay, so I did want to show you how you can view or restore previous versions of a note by clicking on these three dots here, and then also going into view version history. So this is the version history of this initial soap note. And this is the current version, but if you wanted to go back to an older version, you could just come in here. So these are stored for up to 60 days. And in most situations, these would actually be different days or dates, but I just created different versions on the same day just for demo purposes. But you can come in here, and if you wanted to actually restore the notes to a previous version, you can click on that and then click restore. Let's go back there. And so before you do that, you may want to go in here and view those, but there could be situations where you just may need to go back to a prior version and restore that. But just keep in mind that versions are stored for up to 60 days, and you can go in here and restore those. And then also, as I mentioned too, you can, if you wanted to download either to your computer, or if you wanted to actually print out any notes to give to a client, maybe you want them to bring this to their provider, or you're going to give it to their provider yourself, you can view as a PDF. And then, so this one right here, this is going to be the view only showing those sections that you chose to share with the client. So if you only chose to share the plan, when you click here, it's only going to show you the plan, versus this view just in the PDF, this is your version. So this is going to show you the entire note. I hope that is helpful. You can also delete a note here, but I hope that's helpful in showing how you can work with your clients' completed notes. So let's go back and recap. We're going to recap part 3. So we talked about using snippets and what those are, where you can find those, how to locate your client's notes, how to search, filter, and navigate your client's notes, how to view and restore previous versions of a note, and how to download or create a PDF of a client note. So thank you so much for watching. I hope this was helpful, and please do not hesitate to reach out if you have any questions.